Welcome to your first week of Excel demonstration. This week, we are just going to find a data set and to explore a few things about the countries that we're going to be looking at over the course of this semester. To start with, you'll need to go to Moodle to log in and download the data set. Remember, you can pause, rewind, or fast forward this video at any time. Once you've gone to Moodle, you can enter the course page for Culture and Values in a Changing World. Scroll down to the section entitled Data. And here there are some important things, so we'll spend a moment talking about them. First, there's a link to the World Value Survey online analysis tool. Anyone who took Intro to Comparative Politics last semester will already have experienced this. You're welcome to go to it and to play with countries that are not in our data set, variables I haven't included, other years, and so on. But you will need to learn to use Excel in order to pass the module, because you will need to use it on a weekly basis and also for submitting your reports at the end. Currently, I have two data sets available for you. One is the World Value Survey 2010 to 2014, which is the most recent wave of data available. The other is the European Value Survey, with fieldwork carried out in 2008, specifically just for the UK. You can see that there are PDF files for both the World Values Questionnaire and the European Value Survey Questionnaire. For the first week or two, we are only going to work with the World Value Survey. Now, to work with this, you will need a copy of Excel, which is provided free while you are a student at the university. If you don't have Excel on your computer, you can follow the link that contains instructions for access to Microsoft Office on your personal computer. That includes both versions for personal computers and for iOS devices. If you have any problems with installing Excel or need to know more, then please contact Information Services and they will be able to help you. If you do need to download and install Excel, I would recommend that you stop the video now and go ahead and do that. But if you're ready, then go ahead and download the Excel spreadsheet for the World Values Survey, not the European Value Survey. When you open it, your window should look something like this. I have imported everything in Excel and formatted it as a table. So that means that you can change the colors if there are colors in a table that would suit you better, if you would find it easier to read a different table style. I've just used this one because I find it easier on my eyes. For future weeks, you will also need to make sure that you have activated the Data Analysis Tool Pack. So I'll go ahead and show you how to do that now. To do that, you need to go to File and scroll down to Options. In Options, you need to select Add-ins. And if you don't have it installed already, you'll see under Inactive Application Add-ins something called the Analysis Tool Pack. If that is inactive, then all you need to do is to go to Manage Excel Add-ins, press Go, tick the box where it says Analysis Tool Pack, click OK, and it will have added those tools so that you can work with them in data and formulas. For this week, however, you don't need to worry about any of that. So first of all, let's get used to the countries that we're looking at. The countries included in this data set are not all of the countries surveyed as part of the World Values Survey. They are Arab League members, OECD members, and EU members, as well as a couple of other countries of interest, so also including Russia and Ukraine and South Africa. Whenever you see total, in this case, it means the average result for all of the countries. Now, everything contained in this data set has already been calculated for you to simplify the data so that you can look at everything at country level. This means that you won't be able to look at variation within a country. We will do that in later weeks, and that's one of the things that you can do with the European Value Study UK dataset. So for now, let's see what we're looking at. Up in the top row, we have the information that is a summarized version of the survey question. So for this, you will need to look at the survey questionnaire to find out what the survey actually asked. So if we scroll down into the first few questions, we can see that they are all numbered with zeros. We can see that they are measured different ways. So we have some that are measured on a scale of strongly agree to strongly disagree. We have some that are measured on a scale of 1 to 10. We have others that are simply categories like marital status and so on. But if we're looking at the initial questions, they are in roughly the same order in the Excel spreadsheet as they appear in the questionnaire. So when we're looking at the question about the importance of family, that's variable number 4, family, and it's rated from 1, very important, to 4, not at all important. Now, anyone who answered don't know, no answer, or not applicable has again been excluded from these calculations for simplicity. We're not going to worry about them right now. So if we look again at our Excel database, what we're looking at here, you see percentages. What does that mean? What this means is the percentage of people in a given country who responded agree or strongly agree to the importance of family in their life. So very important or rather important in this case. So if we look at Algeria, the first result, if we have sorted the data set alphabetically by country, then we can see that 97.7% of Algerian respondents said that family was rather important or very important in life. We can then compare this to other countries. So we can scroll down and just have a quick look, and we see, for example, Lebanon, that number is 91.2% of respondents. So people in Lebanon did not feel that family was quite as important in life as those in Algeria, but there is clearly an overall consensus that family is a very important part of life everywhere, and the lowest numbers that we get are in the high 80%, such as Bahrain. Now, there are other kinds of variables in here as well. So whenever you see the percentages, that is measured in percentage agreement But this question, for example, satisfaction with your life, and we have a score of 6.3. What does that mean? Let's look back at our questionnaire. So the question about satisfaction with your life is here, B23. All things considered, how satisfied are you with your life as a whole these days? Using this card, on which 1 means you are completely satisfied, dissatisfied, and 10 means you are completely satisfied, where would you put your satisfaction with your life as a whole? So that means people who have a higher number are generally happier with their lives. What we have here then is the average response for the whole country. So if a country has an average that's closer to 10, that means they're more satisfied with their lives. If they have an average that's closer to 1, that means they're less satisfied with their lives. So if we just have a quick look through this data, we can see, for example, that Mexicans have a very high level of satisfaction on average, with about 8.5 out of 10. Where do you think you would respond on a question like that? Would you be as happy as a Mexican? Or would you come in closer to Egyptians, who are on average dissatisfied because they have an average satisfaction level of 4.85, which is below the midpoint of 5.5. So again, if we look at the variable next to it, we return to percentages. Most people can be trusted. So again, this is a question of agreeing or strongly agreeing. So we can tell that countries where half the people agreed are much more optimistic about people than, for example, Romanians, who on the whole were not very trusting. So you can see this was just as simple. Most people can be trusted, or you need to be very careful. And only 7.7% of Romanians thought that most people could be trusted. Now you should take a few minutes to explore the data set, looking at the questionnaire at the same time, see what kinds of variables are included. This data set does not include all of the variables that appear in the questionnaire. Some of them are simply not relevant to what we're doing, and some of them I was trying to cut down the number of variables that we were working with. So have a few minutes where you just look around, see what's in here. Pause the video, and when you're ready, we'll continue. So the technique that we're going to learn this week, now that we've familiarized ourselves with the data a bit, and we understand at a basic level what we're looking at, we understand that some of these are percentages and some of them are means. Now we're just going to learn some really simple table skills that will make our lives much easier. One of these is that with tables, there are handy little drop-down menus that mean it's very easy to sort and filter. For example, if I want to sort all of the responses by which group they're a member of, I can just click Sort A to Z. And that will place all of my Arab League members together, and then my members of the EU who are not OECD members, and then my members of the OECD who are not EU members, my members jointly of the OECD and the EU, and those who are members of none. This makes it a bit easier to compare countries that, for example, we might expect to be relatively alike. But if we wanted to find out quickly which country thought that work was the least important in life, we could just sort this column from smallest to largest and then see what happens to the ordering of the countries over on the left. And what we find out is that Bahrain reports the lowest level of agreement with the statement that work is important in life, and Moroccans came up as having the highest level of agreement that work is important in life. We can also use the sort tools to filter. So if we drop down this menu and say, actually, we only want to look at Arab League countries this week, we can do a filter on it. So just tick the box where it says select all, so that it deselects everything. And then select Arab League and press OK. And you can see it's simplified our table considerably for us because now we've only got the Arab League numbers showing. In addition to the filter, we can then go and sort by another variable. So if I want to look at the importance of politics, and I'm just looking at the Arab League, I can see that Egyptians think politics is the most important of all of these countries, and Moroccans rate it the least. Which is interesting that Moroccans find politics so unimportant and work very important. So here we're already starting to identify some cultural differences between countries. What else might you be interested in sorting by? Maybe we want to return to the question of trust and see who's the least trustful in the Arab League. Of course, we could do this manually. We could just read through all of them and find the smallest one. This just makes our lives a bit easier. So we can see that Libyans had the lowest level of agreement out of all of the Arab League countries included in this study. And Yemenis had the highest, but that's still only 40% of the population who thought that most people could be trusted. We will also look at some of these other variables in coming weeks, like who would you not want to have as a neighbor? Someone of a different race, someone who's an immigrant or foreign worker, someone who's homosexual. And these are where things get really interesting because people start to reveal their secret prejudices that they might not reveal otherwise. Anytime that you want to take the filter back off now and say you want to look at all the countries again, just click back on the drop-down menu, select all, and press OK, or you can just press clear filter from membership. There are other ways that we can filter our data that we'll look at in coming weeks, and search can also be handy when there are lots of different options available to us. But for now, let's just clear that. Now, make sure that you understand the key skills that we've learned in this video, that you know how to navigate the drop-down menus, that you can alphabetize and sort very easily, that you understand how to interpret the percentages and the means, and that you know how to filter your data so that you only look at specific cases at any given time when you want to simplify your data view. Once you feel confident with all of these skills, then you're ready to go back to Moodle and to take the first week's quiz. These weekly quizzes will constitute 1% of your module mark each time you take one. You are allowed 2 attempts to the full quiz, but it will give you a small deduction if you try a second time, just to encourage you to put some effort into getting it right the first time. There is no problem with you working together with each other because the likelihood is that you'll understand it better and it will be a lot more fun if you work together on this module, as long as each person does all of the work. And remembering that we will be discussing these outputs in the seminars and that you will need these skills for doing the research report, which is worth 80% of your module mark. There is no reason why you can't get full marks on the weekly quizzes. This is about practice. So, whenever you're ready, go ahead and start the quiz. There's no time limit, and you can stop and start as many times as you like. Good luck!